Hello, in this video it's a short demonstration of why I think Bootstrap is an important feature for website design. One of the main features of Bootstrap is the ability to define columns and to change how those columns react on different widths of screen. Now, the columns are divided into twelfths because 12 is a good number, divisible by lots of things, and we define our columns for the number of twelfths of the width of the screen that they are going to reach. If you are in a column, then you divide that area up into twelfths, and then inside that again and again and again, and that's how the principle works. So if we look at this example here, we have a left column, we have some content in the middle, and a right column. And if we look at the HTML code here, and I'll move out the other sections because we don't need them for here, you can see that we've got a container class. So we've got a divider covering everything. Then we've got a row, and inside that row is the H1, which is the heading tag, welcome to the website, which is here. So that's separate to the rest of the content because it's closed there. And the new row starts underneath. And the first thing in the new row is this div class here. And this div class here is for the content. Yes, the content. Now, there are a set of numbers here. LG is for a large size screen, MD for a medium size screen, and SM for a small screen, and XS for a very small screen. So we are being told that in a large screen this will take up 7 columns, in a medium screen it will take 6, in a small screen it will take 8, and in a very small screen it will take 12. So we are in a large screen at the moment, and this is taking 7 of the columns. All makes sense so far? Great. If we go down to the next column, we find the right column. And the right column will take 3 when large, 3 when medium, 4 when small, and 12 when extra small. Now, the left column is below the main content, so you'd expect it to be over here the right. It takes 2 when large, 3 when medium, 4 when small. But the magic happens with these 2 extra commands. And these extra commands say when medium, go back 6, and when large, go back 7. And that hops it back from being over here to over here. Now, why would I do that? Well, firstly, from a Google search perspective, I have now made sure that my main content is the first thing that Google sees. So by reorganizing the way the columns throw themselves together, I have made sure that my heading is at the top, and then my main content is the first thing that a Google spider will see, not my columns. That means this is the important content for Google to read, not this over here. So if we start decreasing the size, we should see go from large to medium. So we go to medium, the left column is going to go from 2 to 3. Should be about now. There it is, it's gone to 3, so it's now the same as the right column, and the middle has gone down. If I remember rightly, yes, it's gone to 6. Now when we get to a smaller size, it's going to go to 8 in the middle. Okay, we now have a problem. The problem is that if that's 8, there's not enough room for the left and right column. So what happens is they fall into line underneath each other. This push here was pushing that content that way, and the pull on the left column was pulling it behind, so it was becoming at the beginning. Now with this smaller size, that's an MD, a medium and a large command, so they're no longer applying. We are now in a small situation, so we've got 8 here for the main content, and in a small situation we've got 4 and 4, so that's why those columns are appearing in the right hand side. We get really small, we get extra small, and extra small, it says it's 12 for the main content, which is there, and your left column and right column I think are going to be 12. Yeah, so they're going to take up columns of their own. So there they are, left column, right column. So that's the power of Bootstrap. It's something which people don't really grab the idea of to start with. The concept of this whole screen being divided into 12, and then these 3 sections, the left, the content in the middle, and the right, having their own areas is okay, that's quite simple. But to really make Bootstrap work, you have to understand the fact that when you have different size screens, you can apply a different set of rules to those columns and make them move around. And you can actually create, if I created some dividers and some content in here, that would also be allowed to be broken into 12ths. So I could break it into 2 parts here by doing 2/6. So if I go to more content, which is there, and I put a divider and a class, what we're going to have, if you have a section divided up by a set of rules, say for large, and you do not define another set of rules, it's going a bit weird now, you see, because I haven't completed this divide. So if you provide 2 sections of content and you don't provide rules for the smaller sizes, then the previous larger size will appear and will take precedence over the rest. Okay, so you see I can play around with this. If I'm in the dividers correctly. Yep. There we are. Now we've got some rules applying. What I could do is I could have that duplicated, and it should appear twice, except I've gone too many closes. There we are. Now that's 2, so that needs to be so you could have that 4 for instance, and the other one you could then have as 8. When columns are more than 12, then obviously they fall beneath, because you can only have 12 in total. So if we go above 12, then they bounce around. So if you have a look at the WP Business Club, for instance, on our latest post page, we pull a few crafty tricks here as well, because on a large size we actually have the column for the images over here, and with a bit of trickery we actually make it overlap. And then when you get down to the smaller size, we use a push and a pull to drop it back here. So it jumps. So that's a introduction to why Bootstrap is such a useful tool for designing sites, especially when they need to be responsive, and the very easy way it is for you to be able to make things move around in the columns when you change the size of the screen. And it's all done with a few little commands. And the beauty of those class style changes is whatever editor you're using, it's quite easy to drop them in. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.
For more info, visit wpbusinessclub.com.